Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Jamie Dawn, your professional psychic advisor, success coach, evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, and thank you so much for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting my YouTube channel here in these videos. And you'll notice that I have a guest with me today, Tisha Michelle. Hello, my darling. I thought we would mix it up a little bit, and that way we're going to talk about the energies that are coming up, especially with the weekend. We're just coming off of a full moon, and then we've got Valentine's Day for those who like to celebrate that, and we've got Mercury retrograde and Mars and Capricorn, all these things that I talked about in my previous video. But I thought it'd be fun because Tisha and I have known each other for a couple of years now. Can you believe that, Tisha?
I know. Where's the time going? Like, seriously, like.
It's crazy. And it's always interesting how people are brought together, because when you and I first met, it was actually over the phone. And even though you were local in Virginia with me, but our first conversation was a phone conversation. Next thing you know, we're meeting in person. It was just an instant love fest. And I have such respect and gratitude for you and your journey. And I thought it would be fun because we've had similar paths, if you will, and we certainly share a similar belief system. And I thought it would be fun for people to get to know you and what's happening for you. Plus, you have a very cool retreat coming up in May that I get to participate in. I'm very excited.
I'm super excited about it.
So, tell people a little bit about you. Let's start there, because I can sort of read a bio if you want, but what's going on with you? What are you doing? Who are you?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I ask myself that every single day. I literally put my hands on my heart and I say, who am I and what's my purpose? You know, because I find like when like you ask that question, like, oh my God, like, who are you? And I'm like, well, who am I today? You know, overall, I'm just like, I'm this soul that's like on this purpose, or sometimes I don't even know what that purpose and what that journey really is until like I get out there. So it's kind of hard answering that question because half of the time I don't know like like who I am. I just know that, I'm this woman that's on this self-discovery journey, every day really seeking to like find like who I am. And I'm learning so much along the way. And then I'm teaching others, the things that I've learned like through my experiences, which is why I say every single day, I'm like, who am I? And like, what's
I love that. I love that, because we're never the same people that we, today that we were yesterday. We're constantly changing. So
yeah, because I can just be like, oh, and like I can tell you, I'm a mom of 4. You know what I mean? And then, I'm an entrepreneur, I do spiritual readings and I say all this stuff. And then I realize like, that's all my titles. And then I'm just like, yeah. And so this has probably been like a whole month. Like, I guess I didn't share this with you. I'm literally like this. It's like, who am I and what's my purpose? And I'll do it like a couple times throughout the day just to kind of help to guide me, because I get stuck too, like as well, like with that question of like, who am I? And I'm like, I don't know, like, sometimes like I don't know, like, because like you said, the energy and everything shifts and changes. And I started realizing that when people ask me that question, I was giving them titles. And then, I'll be like, oh, I'm a business owner, I own a home care agency, and I don't own that anymore. So then it's like, so who am I? So I'm like, every day I'm discovering and realizing who I am. So what I can tell you is that I say to people, I'm like, I'm exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. That's who I am. Because that is something I do notice. So
that's a great self-awareness too, because not only are we constantly changing, so we're not the exact same people we once were, but that question of who am I in this moment brings a level of presence, a level of checking in with being self-aware in this moment and saying, well, right now I'm happy. Right now I'm sad. Right now I'm excited, whatever. So I really, really love that. And I think that's important for what's happening for us over the next couple of days and even weeks, but I'll just touch in on the whole Mercury retrograde and
Please do.
Mars Capricorn, moving into Capricorn and stuff. And the invitation that we have with, excuse me, with these personal planets transiting into these positions in the cosmos is that in astrology, we talk a lot about as above, so below, or as without, so within. So these planets are moving around the cosmos, creating their own energetic influences. Well, we're all part of the cosmos, and we're made up of these stars, and we're made up of this energy. So we may be feeling like with Mercury going retrograde, our thoughts can become a little foggier. It's retrograding in Pisces. So we might feel like we're either deceiving ourselves or being deceived, or we feel more creative than we normally do. And our dreams are full of these wild, imaginative things. It could be so many different things. But you and I were talking before we started recording about how you trusted your intuition on something. That's a perfect Mercury retrograde in Pisces moment. And we're going to have more and more of those. And I think it's so important that we keep trusting our intuition, because then with Mars moving into its exalted sign of Capricorn, it's going to be, if we're listening to our intuition and we're really, really paying attention to it, then we're going to be able to move mountains. That's what Mars and Capricorn does. You want to if you've been sitting there waiting, going, will this ever get done? I have this idea, and I know you know this, Tisha, because I've talked about, you've got this thing inside of you, you're like, I'm ready for it to birth. When's it actually going to give birth? Just wait. Mars in Capricorn. It may not happen exactly on Sunday when Mars makes that transition, but I guarantee you for the weeks that follow that Mars is in Capricorn, you should start to feel, and I say you collectively, but we should all start to feel like now we're just rolling up our sleeves and we are getting this done, finally,
And I have been feeling, I know all about that, all about that. It's like being in this circle and having so many ideas, or this big idea that you don't know what to do. So guess what? You do nothing. And then I'm like, well, when is it gonna happen? And then I realized, wait a minute, I gotta do something. And so I've been feeling that. So that makes so much sense. And I'm so glad you said that. Come on this weekend, let's go.
I know, right?
I'm ready.
Everybody's so ready for something to take place. For me, there's nothing worse. It's like it's restless feeling. Nothing worse than feeling like there's something about to happen. You just can't figure out what it is or the timing of it, and it's just like chomping at the bit.
Well, for me, it's been this whole month, and I think I might have shared that with you, but I was like, I don't know. I just woke up and I was like, February is going to be a magical month for me. And it wasn't something I was stating as like a mantra or affirmation. I was like, no, I really feel like February is going to be like an enormous, month, some big shift that's gonna happen. So it makes so much sense too now with you saying what the energy, and I don't know deep in that astrology and stuff. That's why I come to you for everything. So I'll be looking for your videos, or I'll text you about it. So it wasn't even oh, I know this is coming up in February. I'll just be clueless until I watch your stuff. But I was I feel something big is coming in February, and I still do. And I'm just I'm super excited for it, because it wasn't something bad gonna happen. It was I don't know, it's gonna be a big shift, and I'm so excited and I'm so ready for it. And I'm bring it on. Bring it on.
And of course, what you're talking about is something you and I both embody, is that intuitive muscle that everybody has, but it's something we have honed and we continue to focus on and work with every single day in our practices and in our businesses. And I think that's something that you don't have to be a professional intuitive or psychic or whatever to trust your intuition or to learn about it. But it's really important that, you do give it the right attention, that you're not dismissing that little voice inside of your head or that hunch or that image you see. It's I can't figure out why, but I know I need to be here. I know I need to call this person, or I know I need to go on that trip, because you just got back from a trip that you hadn't planned, but certain things seem to work out, right?
Well, it was interesting because with that trip, me and Aaliyah, and then for like the people that are watching or listening, you know, it's my sister-in-law. We have been playing phone tag for about a month, which is so crazy. So like she would call me, and you know, I call and we would miss each other. So it was crazy. Like it was like, I can't believe we haven't talked to each other in a minute. So when I did talk to her, and she was just like, this is so stupid, this time difference and stuff. And I was like, well, actually, I'm on the East Coast right now. She's like, wait, what? I was like, I'm in Virginia instead of Arizona. And she was like, what? And so we was talking. So I told her I was going to go back. Instead of going to Arizona, I was going to go to California and get a ticket. And so whatever date this was, it was like Friday. I was like, yeah, just Thursday, the ticket was 110. And I went to go buy it, and now it's like almost 400. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't know about this. So it was crazy because that was purposeful, you know, and the whole divine, that I wasn't meant to go to California because that fast, the ticket changed drastically. So when she mentioned something about coming to New York, I said, there's no, I couldn't even make up anything. There was nothing. I was like, there's no reason for me not to come. And she's like, all right, then come. I was like, cool. I'm going to come up, I'm going to take the train, and then I'll go back home from there. And it was literally like my intuition was like, no, you need to go. There's no reason for you to go. This is perfect. And everything was lined up. And then everything that happened up there, everything was all about our intuition and just trusting. And I was like, this is beautiful. You know, listen, like you said, to that voice, and that's something, you know, there wasn't anything logical to say why I couldn't go. I just knew that I needed to go. And that's your
and you and you needed that confirmation, or that reassurance that you're not losing your mind, you're not disconnected and out of touch with spirit when your intuition isn't talking as loudly as it always does, you know. And I think one of the things, to be completely transparent and vulnerable, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but I've had moments where I feel like my intuition is so off, or I can't hear anything, or it just seems like the impossible. And doubts come in, and I think, am I going crazy? I'm freaking crazy. You know?
Oh no, it happens to me. I'll be like, wait a minute, is that my intuition? Or am I manipulating the situation and making it be? Because something, it does. It happens like that, you know, which is why I don't do like reading the cards for myself. You know, if anything, I'll like text like one of my friends. I'd be like, I need you to pull this card for me, because I know that I'll pull this card and then I can manipulate it to be my benefit, which might not be for my highest good. I mean, think that it is. And I'll just be off of like, is this my intuition, or is this like this? Yeah. So for sure, I get like that too for myself.
That's also when I reach out to others and I say, hey, I'm either too close to the situation, or I'm just feeling so disconnected, I'm not going to get an answer, whatever, you know. And that's why I think it's good for us to support each other, because we can't always see it from the outside in as much as we want to, you know.
Which just happened with me when I reached out to you about the home care agency thing. Right. I made my stance, and I was like, I'm closing this chapter again, and that's what it is. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing the commercial, and then I'm getting leads, and I'm like, at this point now I'm confused. I'm like, what is going on? So I don't know if it's my intuition, if I'm being tested, or what that whole thing. And I'm like, this is crazy. So yes. Yeah. But I do understand, the more that you trust your intuition, the better that it is for you, far as like the more you like, you know, building that muscle, like they say, right? You're trusting, and then you don't you can still have those doubts, because I still have them, but it just be a little bit less than, you know, whereas I'm building it up, you know.
Well, and you know, to expand on the subject of intuition, we also have to be willing to take leaps of faith. I've noticed over the last, I would say, couple of years, but in particular the last 18 months, I and I know you have too, have made some really big leaps of faith. And what I describe as a leap of faith is, I always equate it to the Indiana Jones movie. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's where he has to walk across a gap, a chasm, and there's no bridge, there's no way to do it. And in order to get across, he has to take a step without knowing that the path will appear, and it does. But that's how it feels. I mean, it feels intuitively, emotionally, mentally, sometimes a life or death kind of decision, because you know your life is going to change, right?
Absolutely.
So what kind of, I know you can tell your story better than me, a pretty big leap of faith. So, and like I say, our paths are similar. What did you?
Yeah, which is crazy, right? But not crazy. You know what I mean? When you think about it. moving to Arizona.
Yeah.
Moving to Arizona, being in Virginia, listening to that inner voice when I went for a visit. And I remember I was pulled over at a rest stop because we were not staying in a hotel. We were actually in New Mexico. So we were really close. So we were sleeping. Well, we were gonna sleep, and I'm like laid back in the chair, and I close my eyes, and then I just open my eyes up, and I say to my son, I said, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "We're gonna give up the house and sell everything." And he was like, "I'm with it." I was like, "Okay." I literally heard that voice, and I wasn't even thinking about it. I just heard that voice was like, let the house go and sell everything. And I was so excited and a little nervous at the same time, but more so excited. And then, fast forward, I'm back home and I'm doing all that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I really am leaving, because I told the landlord, I'm leaving from this house, we're finding someone. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is getting real. But the biggest of the leap of faith was because I didn't have the funds. So everything that I was selling, and mind you, I still had to pay all my current bills. So it wasn't like I was free and clear and everything I sold, and then I got to save. No, I had to still pay everything, that was going forward. So I remember I'm in the car, and first it was my youngest son. I said, waiting for his dad to pick him up. He was like, oh, well, I'm not going to get him until late. So later on today, okay, that's cool. I'll just wait. So in my mind, it was this fear of leaving, but I was like, oh, I got an excuse now. I get to still hang around, at my mom's house with the car packed up, with the kids, but I got to wait for him to get, my son, SJ. Then he calls me. He was like, oh, I rearranged everything. I'm actually going to pick him up in 30 minutes. What? That means I actually have to do this now in 30 minutes. And I had $196.50. And people need to understand this. I'm in a car in Virginia, a 30-hour ride with two of the kids with $196.50, scared as crap. And remember, I called you and I was like, oh, freaking out. Oh my God, I don't know. Am I supposed to stay? What I'm supposed to do? And you was like, get in the car and go. And you was like, and don't look back. And then, if you don't mind me sharing, and then you sent me money, to go. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm like, I have to do this. And I just get in the car and I go. For people to really understand, when you have $196.50, that's not even getting you your gas all the way there, and not knowing where I'm going to stay as well. So that was super huge. And then, intuition is guiding me. And I don't know how deep you want to go into that, but my intuition is guiding me all along the way. And I had I think this part is really important. I had a hotel reserved for a week because, if you reserve in a hotel, you don't have to pay for it. But my psyche needed an address, needed a destination. Even though I was going to get in the car and drive to Arizona, I still had to, this tourist part of me, I had to have something. So I was like, I reserved this hotel, and I only knew about that hotel because when we went down there for the retreat the month before, that's where we stayed. So I reserved it. So now we're 45 minutes out from Scottsdale. It's late at night. We get to a McDonald's, and I hear spirit, that voice say, don't go to the hotel, get an Airbnb. No, why? No, my psyche needs this destination. No, get an Airbnb. And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking through the phone, and my son's looking through the phone, and we're looking through all these ones, and we finally go upon one, and we book it. And literally the rest is history after that. And I've been in the exact same place this was 6 months ago. I'm only in a different condo. Instead of downstairs, I'm upstairs, but everything that transpired in between, that person ended up being like my earth angel and just guiding me and all these different things where spirit was like, look, you're good, don't worry. And I remember I probably reached out to you having a breakdown. I was like, I just need security and stability, and I'm all like, oh my God. I remember even sitting in the car by myself and banging on the steering wheel. I was like, this is stupid, this is dumb. How can I be holding these sessions and helping so many people, but here I am in this uncomfortable position, because I felt like I lost everything. And then it really hit me that I didn't lose everything. It was a choice. I chose to leave. And also it was an opportunity to rebuild my life the way that I wanted it, removing the mask and all of that, good stuff. So my intuition was just on point.
It got you clearly, and it still does. And I think, thank you for sharing that journey, because I think it's important for people to understand that when we're making these leaps of faith, they're not comfortable.
Oh.
And we need support from others that we trust and we feel safe with. And sometimes we get support from others that are completely earth angels, if you want to call it that, or random strangers or whatever. And yeah, we don't have to go into all the details, but the place that you're staying, I mean, the gentleman that you are renting from, he's been able to work with you and open doors of opportunities and, you know, all of that. And so I think that's another good point to make, is that when we're dealing with intuition, we don't always know what even the next 3 steps ahead are going to be. It's really very much in this moment. And it may feel, and this is where I want to encourage people who are watching, is it can get exhausting if we are attached to, I have to know that I'm secure in this next step. But what I've learned, and what you're witnessing to as well, is that when we actually can relax into not knowing, and that the intuition will guide us and will speak to us if we're listening very deeply, if we're still enough. Like when you're describing being in the car and laying back and you're ready to go to sleep, it was because you invited stillness that Spirit just spoke and you heard it so clearly. And that's a practice that we have to constantly do, because we're always busying ourselves. And if we can just slow down enough, then we'll be guided to that next step, you know? And it's, yeah, if you're happy in your life and you're making, you know, and you don't want anything to change, kudos to you, you know? But just, this is the only flip side or mirror to the change. And that is, your life could be going perfectly normal and then something different out of the blue, unplanned, shows up. So how do you meet it? And at that point, it's still the same principle. You meet it as if it's unknown. You have no idea what you're about to do or how you're going to respond.
Absolutely, which is super scary. And, you know, and it's tough because it's literally like you're trusting and believing in something that you can't see. You don't see it, you can't touch it. You're just literally like, all right, whether you're looking up in the air or whatever, you're like, all right, I'm gonna trust you, you got me. And literally just doing that, and just then everything else just happening. And the way things happen for me personally, just in that situation, because I do believe that was the biggest thing that I've like ever done. Far as say being bold, and I've taken a lot of risks, but that right there, whew, you know, was like a big one. But it was like when I was like, okay, fine, like I surrender, like things just started falling in place. And when I look at them, I'm like, I would have never imagined it even happening that way. So I think it was after a conversation with you, and I spoke with my spirit guides, and I said, look, I'm so used to this, you know, I was like, I just need security and stability. And I finally got to the point, I said, I don't care how it looks. I just need to have security and stability. And I'm like, I tell you guys, February 5th made 6 months, and I am in the exact same space, just a different condo. Instead of downstairs, I moved it to a bigger one. The exact same space. And when I left from Virginia on August 2nd, I had no idea where I was staying. No idea. I thought I was going to get to this house, you know, the whole time I'm like, I'm getting closer, where I'm gonna get this money from, you know. And Spirit was like, no, you're not going there. And that was the human part of me, was like, you need to have this destination to put in your GPS. Yeah. And all along was just like my intuition. But I will tell everybody, it is absolutely scary, but so like worth it if you just surrender and trust. Like you'll be blowing your own mind with how it happens. And yeah, I'm like, I have to write a book about
the majority of our, because the majority of our conversations aren't usually, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Usually it's, oh my God, this just happened. Oh, did you see that? Oh, look what happened, you know, and you start to add up all those ahas and blessings. And I'm so grateful I followed my intuition and, you know, and things like that. And so, you know, because I, like you, when I moved from Virginia out west, I was like, well, I'm going to start, my destination was California, because I would go out there anyways for Nine Gates Mystery School. And I thought, okay, let me just see. But I know for me, and this is why I talk so much about the body being important, because the body doesn't lie. I needed to get my physical body in certain locations to see what it felt like. And that's how my intuition, I'm more kinesthetic than anything. So I listen deeply to what my body is saying to me. And being in those different spots allowed me to go, yes, no, maybe, you know, and I could appreciate the beauty and the people and the cultures of all the different places that I would travel, and I would land for a while. But then when Spirit guided me very clearly to Reno, Nevada, I was it wasn't a pin on my map. It was sort of out there. I was open, right? I'm like, all right, look, if Spirit said Montana, all right, I'll go for it, right? But so when I got here and I could just look around and I could talk to people and I could connect, and I actually already know a couple of people that live here, and we hadn't, so with Nine Gates Mystery School, we have all of our staff are graduates. Well, there happens to be a couple of graduates that live here.
See, look at that. You're not even alone.
Exactly, because one of my intentions of finding a place to live was community. Community is really important. I had that in Richmond. I had that in Virginia Beach. I've had that throughout where I live, and I feel that's a key ingredient to thriving. We can all survive. We're great survivors. We wouldn't be here if we didn't survive, but I'm all about thriving. And for me, that's where we get into sharing resources and supporting each other and community and family, that sort of thing. So those were important factors. But I can tell you that there are certain things that can prevent me from listening to my intuition or doing the things that I know or I should do or I need to do. What are some things that may stop us from doing the things that we should or need to do?
Getting all up in our head, overthinking, just looking for the logical, aspect of like your intuition is telling you to go left, but everything that it says that going right is the best way because it's less traffic, it's the route that and it's all this, and then you go, and then you're stuck in traffic or you get into an accident or whatever the case is. But it was like, dang, my intuition was telling me to go left, but everything was telling me to go left, but my whole logic, I say for me, it's getting too much into my head and all. Like a simple thing, and I do this a lot of times, and it'll be like small things, but to me they're also big. I was in the store today and I walked across the lotion. I looked at the lotion. Something said looked at the lotion, and then I stopped and I said, nah, well, we got lotion at home. I didn't even come here for that. I'm good. Get into the car, and Destiny was like, we need lotion, right? Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? So it'll be things like that I'll just look, and it's like the reason why, and I know when it is, but then I'll start to create the whole conversation. So it may be small, but things like that you overlook, then what happens when it's like the bigger thing and you're not trusting yourself? Because then at this point, I was like, oh my gosh, but my intuition said, why else am I looking at this lotion? Like, and it's for me, it's just a certain way that it happens that I could be walking and then I'll just like look, and it's just kind of like, why did I just do that? Yeah. And then I create this, oh no, I got lotion at home. I didn't even come here for that, but I needed the lotion.
And the other thing that you are really good at teaching and helping other people with is working with their limited beliefs as well. And that's the thing that when you hear the trigger words of should or need, often that is a signal that there's a belief or a mindset that is inside of you that is limiting this action step. So that what we're describing too isn't just, I know you're not saying we should just always go, oh, I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to go there. And, it's not that logic doesn't serve its purpose, but if logic is the driver, that's where you run into the accident. So that metaphorically, if you let intuition drive and let logic be the navigator, it often works out better. Right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because even when I think back to it, I'm like, why would that pop in my head for me to go left? If I know everything is about going this way, why would that even come up? Why would that even present itself? And I know why, because my intuition is ahead of the game. So my intuition is ahead of, in that aspect and stuff, but it's just one of those things you just like, But for me, I just say it's when I get all into my head and I have this whole complete story, or should do this, shouldn't do that. Well, what about this? Or what about that? I mean, they're talking about the past or talking about the future. So then it has me go against like my intuition because I've gotten so much like into like my head. And then I'm like, oops.
Well, see, and again, I'll just keep referencing because I'm using the jargon of or language of astrology, but what we're talking about is another way that we can really work with the Mercury retrograde in Mars Capricorn. Mercury retrograde in Pisces is all about your intuition. It's super heightened. You're pulled inside, and it's like you can't see. Everything's foggy. And so you have to trust that you can only go as fast as you can see in front of you, right? And that's the intuition that's going to guide you. And then your Mars in Capricorn is going to be that logic that helps you put it into place of going, oh, I'm really glad I went that direction. I'm really, now in order for me to accomplish the next thing, I can take this next step. What is my intuition telling me is the direction to go, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that correlation or complement that continues to happen. So if in doubt, and the reason I bring this up is anybody who's watching, if in doubt, you're not quite sure what to do, pause, check in, and remove the logic and say, what is it that feels true for me? Or I also love this question. If I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do?
Yeah.
So
I like that.
I think using some of that to help shape your actions and decisions. And the other thing for me, because I have a tendency to take life and things very seriously, that's usually the way I approach things. I'm learning how to lighten up and not take it so seriously. And part of what has helped is to remind myself that life itself is a grand experiment. What have I got to lose? And then what have I got to win? Yeah. You know? So.
And also, like, for me, I'm just like, the universe always has my back. So why am I tripping?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be in the middle. I'll be like, okay, I'm tripping now. I'm like, the universe always has my back. Might not feel like it, but I know the universe isn't out to get me, because for me, with my belief, I'm like, yeah, we came here to evolve and grow, and we have to have these, experiences so we can learn like these lessons. And I'm like, so do I really think the universe like wants me to fail? Like, wants me, that to me, I'm like, even logically, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna trust. I know you're not setting me up, like, but I used to have those thoughts. I'm like, am I being, set up? Is this a trick? Like, what is this? Like, oh my gosh, like, is this out to get me and all this stuff? But those are all just like, to me, I felt like just like excuses and still like the fears and attaching certain things with it. But now I'm like, nah, the universe has my back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get worked up and then I'm going to reach out to Jamie like, oh my gosh. or even when I don't reach out to you, but I was thinking about it, like that day I was laying in the bed just recently, guys, I was laying in the bed and I wasn't in the best mood. And I was like, I should reach out to Jamie. I was like, but I respect her time. So should I book a session? I was like, but I really don't have time this morning to book a session because of things that I had to do. So I went to pick up my phone and I was just like, forget it. I just got to figure it out on my own. Not even 30 minutes later, guys, I'm cleaning. I don't even know why I started cleaning. I'm cleaning and I have the AirPod in, and then like the phone starts ringing and I go and it's like, Jamie. And I'm like, Jamie. So even when I answered, you was just like, hey, like, it's me, Jamie. I'm like, I know who it is. And he was like, oh, it was the way you answered it. But really it was because I was so thrown off, like, whoa. But what that was my spirit guides knew exactly what it was that I needed. But I didn't reach out to Jamie because I got all in my head and I processed and I attached so much to it that I just said, forget it. I'll just have to figure it out on my own. But I really did need to reach out. And my spirit guides knew that. And she's so in tune. She was like, you know how to do? Hey, sweets. And I was like, oh my God. And I needed that 15 minutes. Like, it was so perfect. But that's still all a part of it, and of even like trusting. My intuition said I needed to reach out to you.
You're making a really good point too, is that we as human beings get so attached to the physical gratification, connection, that sort of thing. And it's like, oh, I need it right now, or I need the physical piece of this. I need the actual phone call or the actual text or email, whatever. I got the message through the airwaves. This is the thing, energy is everywhere and everything. And so, if you're stuck, you guys, if you're stuck at this person, I need to have a conversation, but I can't seem to do it, or I really should reach out, but they're in Australia and not accessible or whatever, feel free to send a prayer or a message. To me, that's what prayer is. It's a message. Yes. Send a message and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. If you get this message, give me a call, whatever. And let it go. See, and the other piece is, like, for you cleaning, when in doubt, if you need to get out of your head, move the body, be of service in some way, you know, because that's also where we can get so caught up in trying to figure it out. Our brains are not going to figure anything out. Our bodies do the action. And so we have to allow ourselves to relax, to let it go and just, okay, I've said my prayer. I've done what all I can do. Now I have to let the universe have my back and line up the circumstances accordingly. And you'll know when that time comes because it'll just feel right. I don't know a better way of explaining it. You'll just know.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Because I was in my head, I said, well, I I'm like, I respect her time, so I should book a session, but I don't have enough time. But when you called me, it was 15 minutes, and you don't even do sessions for 15 minutes. So I'm ready to put in, like, we're gonna have to talk for an hour, because like all this, but it was those 15 minutes was amazing, and that's what I needed.
Minutes.
Funny.
So Tisha thought, oh, she doesn't have 15 minutes. I actually do.
You do? Oh my God.
Yes.
Seriously? Okay, I need to probably book like 15 minutes for Destiny. Like, speaking of that, she's like, Jamie never texts me back. I was like, you need to book a session with her. I was like, I've talked to her a couple times since then.
Wow.
I didn't. Okay, see, look at that. Boom. I needed to know that. That's why I said that, because I needed to know that.
Absolutely. I do 15 minute, 30, 45 hours. So it's broken up into 15 minutes.
Oh, I did not. That is so good to know.
Yeah. Speaking of, because we are almost out of time, I want to make sure that we have a minute to talk about, maybe more than a minute, the retreat coming up in May. And speaking of time and things like that. So can you just share a little bit about what it is, where it is, what's happening with it?
Yeah, so it's going to be May 14th through the 17th in Scottsdale, Arizona. Ooh. So it'll be my first spiritual retreat, and it's really all about but when it came to me, it was really all about like us, as individuals, putting ourselves first, taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and like having that time out. So we're going to attack all those areas: mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, because it's super important, especially in this world and this life is going through, is to have like all of those. And I don't really want to say balance. I want to say harmony, because I don't really truly believe like what's balance, but being able to protect all of those areas. So, and I have you coming because like you're so amazing to come and do your thing, and then even also add like the astrological part to it, because I feel like that's super important with the like the energies and the full moons, and being able to like work with it and understanding like what's going on, understanding what's your destiny and all of that that good stuff. So as of right now, I have possibly two spots open. Someone hasn't fully, claimed one. However, so I'm going to say I have two spots that's open. So it's May 14th through the 17th.
Fantastic. And I'll make sure to get the website posted in the link here at the bottom of the video so that people can check it out. And yeah, I'm super excited to participate. Thank you for asking me. Really, I couldn't think of anything better.
No, I told you, I tell people all the time, I'm like, y'all think that I'm so amazing? Y'all gonna get to meet my person that I go to. So super excited. And I'm glad to know about the whole 15 and all of that stuff too, because I think that'll be like good for like people there. Also on there, each person is gonna get a massage. So, and a couple of the ladies that I've talked to was like, they don't even remember the last time they had a massage. And then there's one person that is coming that's never had a professional massage and has always wanted one. And it's not because she can't afford it. She just cares so much for everyone else and is going and going and going, that she said that's like the top like highlight that she's looking forward to.
I love it.
Massage. And I was like, this is what it's about. It's like you putting yourself first. And like, I know two of the ladies that's coming, they've never done anything like this before. And they're so excited that they were saying, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I was like, yay, this is so exciting. But you really think about it, like how we really don't put ourselves first, because to me, I believe the world conditioned us to say that was selfish. And it's like, no, we need to care for ourselves before we can care for anyone else. So
that's right.
all about.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I describe. And I've had a lot of people say to me when we sit down in a session, like, you know what, I'm doing this for myself, and I'm like, good for you, because it is. You know, when I have a session with somebody, it's all about them. It has nothing to, it feeds me. Believe me, everybody I talk to inspires me, and I walk away just as high as them. And it's one of those things. I had this years ago when I first started my training and all this work. My mentor said people should feel better being with you than when they first arrived. If they don't, then something else is going on, and it's not good. And I use that as my baseline whenever I give myself self-care of getting a reading or sitting down with the energy worker, or even a massage, whatever. I should walk out of that massage feeling better than I did when I walked in, and and the same thing. I may not be massaging the body, but I'm massaging the mind and the emotions and the spirit. So, yeah.
Sometimes it feels like that when you leave. I'm like, oh, I feel like I just had a massage. Like, I feel so good. I'm on cloud 9. You can't tell me nothing now. Like, yeah, so you're right. So we do go into the feeling and coming out feeling, better than like before.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Well, thank you for sharing this time with me. This has been so much fun, and I hope that everybody who's watching gets a little something they can use in the next few days and weeks. And please check out. I'll put Tisha's retreat here at the bottom of the video. I'll also put my links. You can find me at jamiedawn.com and 12listen.com, and I'm on all social medias. And Twitter's the only one I don't really do much with. It's way too much effort for me. There's just not too much going on. I don't have the time and energy to post something 24/7. So anyways, and Tisha, where can people find you if they want to connect with you, get readings?
Definitely my website, which I'll put on there, but it's healalignedglow.com, and as well as Instagram, and it's Mindset Slayer on Instagram.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so very much, my darling. And thank you everybody for watching this, and feel free to comment. We want to know what's going on. Share these videos, and we'll be back. I'll be back at least next week. Take care.